Hey everybody, so we're nearly at the full moon, which is happening on June the 11th, and that's at 20 degrees in Sagittarius, opposite the sun at 20 degrees in Gemini. So that axis is what we're needing to balance, which is the axes of the mind, the lower mind and the higher mind. So, yeah, a good time to be journaling, to be having a dialogue with yourself, and really, watching that you're not overstimulating your nervous system because the lower mind, can be so demanding, like a young child, that we're not able to find the peace of mind to be able to hear intuition like this piece of selenite coming through the crystalline matrix. So fortunately, Venus on the 6th of the 6th, given that 6 is sacred to Aphrodite, to Venus, moved into Taurus, her home sign. So the feminine part of us, the Venusian part of us, is really craving beauty and pleasure through the senses. And this is the medicine, this is the mana to heal an exhausted mind or a strung out nervous system. So that's baths, massage, walking in gardens, smelling flowers, watching a sunset, wearing tactile fabrics, doing a body practice like yoga. So slowing down. Earth is a healing balm for the mind, which is very, very, very quick, and expects us to be overly responsive, to have done everything yesterday. It doesn't allow for the fact that we are also physical beings. So allow your inner feminine to say, hey, that's enough. Yeah, you've done more than enough today. Stop and have some pleasure, which is the essence known as soma, and this is what calms the nervous system. It's like when we think about extracting an essential oil, extracting the essence of pleasure. And when we don't get enough of that, we then, you know, need something that's really going to knock us out, whether that's a drink or melatonin or a joint. But if we can regularly give ourselves pleasure to regulate the nervous system, that's much better. So this full moon in Sagittarius is evoking the archetypal happy-go-lucky wanderer. Now, you may not feel like that at the moment, given the intensity of, what feels like it's frying our nervous system, all of this plasma that's being ejected from the solar storms, the geomagnetic energy that's coming at us to be integrated and bringing up our shadow. Hence, I'm wearing black. But this full moon illuminates how we're traveling through life. In other words, whether or not we're an optimist or a pessimist, whether we see the glass as half full or half empty. In other words, when something happens that doesn't, please your ego, it's not, what you ordered, not what you wanted, do you bitch and moan and complain and look for someone to blame and scapegoat? Or do you look at how it actually serves you? What's the blessing? What's the lesson in this? What can you learn from it? What's the takeaway? So the more we get into that as a practice, the more we can be the happy-go-lucky wanderer who sees the universe as benevolent, so that instead of becoming embittered and hardening up, which makes it harder for good luck to find us. Jupiter, the ruling planet of Sagittarius, the Romans referred to as Jove. By Jove, it will happen. But Jupiter is considered the lucky planet. This is why Sagittarians often have incredible luck. It's not that it's, completely random. Um, Gem Jupiter has 5 moons. So that's a lot of intuition. So if you're listening to the hunches, you're going to create good luck. Whereas if you're ignoring that, yeah, then chances are you're going to have more and more challenges and obstructions. So this is about, yes, being light-footed, footloose and fancy-free, but noticing the hunches. Don't override that. Don't override your nervous system, okay, which is, you know, the the navigation device, if you will. So, in other words, how do I feel in this situation or about anticipating that event or spending time with this person? Listen to the nervous system. And the more that we're responding to the nervous system, the more we are creating flow, you know, by doing what feels good. So, this can evoke wanderlust, the travel bug. I'm not talking about the stomach bug, but that some people get when they travel, but a hunger for new experiences. Why? To learn, to grow. Because if we think about Jupiter, the biggest planet in the solar system, this is about our window of expansion. Okay, when we have a Sagittarius transit like this, it's like, oh, it's time to expand. It's time to, you know, go beyond what I thought was possible. It's time to go beyond my fears, go beyond my limiting beliefs. So it highlights for us where we're playing small, where we're holding ourselves back. So you might feel some frustration this week, but also a sense of it's now or never. I've got to do this. Sagittarius can be a little bit clumsy, and that's because it gets really excited being a fire sign, but doesn't always take into account its inner body. And like the centaur can be all legs. So typically, Saggies love to get out and run or walk or dance, use their legs. But yeah, got to be careful you don't trip over your own feet during a Sag uh, transit. Now, there's a little bit of an oxymoronic influence happening here because whilst everything I just said about Jupiter and Sag is true, that sense of wanting to travel, wanting to go beyond the known into the unknown, yeah. Today, June 9, Jupiter moved into Cancer for a year. Cancer is the sign of home, sign of family, sign of community, of nostalgia. Yeah. So, what is Jupiter magnifying? A sense of home, a sense of belonging, a sense of kin, a sense of clan. So, this is expanding our sense of home. In other words, there could be new opportunities for us, like Dorothy, that we've overlooked at home. Or it could be that our sense of home expands, that we go, you know what, home is a place in my heart. Yeah, I can be at home anywhere in the world, and I've got to go find a new home, or maybe I'll have a few homes at different times of the year. So it is opportunity, but it's an opportunity to expand our perception of what is family, what is community, what is home. So for some, it might be literal. It might be renovating your home, your physical home. For others, Cancer is also about emotional security. It's the moon mother. Okay. And there's a project I'm going to tell you about at the end, which I'm very excited about. But emotional security is something we give to ourselves. It's the internalized mother who says, hey, you did a good job. You know, the part of us that caretakes our inner dialogue so we don't spiral down into self-loathing, into, whipping ourselves from the perspective of the mind. This is about building emotional resilience. And this is what keeps us healthy. Okay, particularly in our gut, our breasts, these are the areas that Cancer rules. So if you're not doing positive self-talk to reassure the inner 7 to 14-year-old, which is the emotional self, um, chances are you won't feel safe. Yeah, you won't feel welcome no matter where you are. You won't feel comfortable. So, this is about, first of all, being a sense of home unto yourself, being your own inner mother, your own sense of family. Okay. And we do that by acknowledging, when I'm with these people or this person or in this situation, how am I feeling? Yeah, because the measure of somebody's character, it's never what they do, it's how we feel when we're around them. Are they honoring of us? Do they wait for us to finish our sentences, or do they interrupt, insisting they know better, which makes us feel shut down, not heard, invalidated? Yeah, so this is a time for us to discern who we feel comfortable being around. Yeah, this is our soul family, people who get us, people who um, accept us for who we are rather than being combative and competitive, doing one-upmanship, which is, those who don't have a sense of home within. Okay. So this transit, this approaching full moon in Sagittarius, um, it's likely to bring this up to a head, given, that Jupiter has moved into Cancer 2 days before this full moon, and full moon brings things to a climactic head. So, in terms of creating a safe container, we need guidelines. So, if we think about the emotional self, the soft and squishy self, like the breast tissue, like the tummy, the part that feels soft and lovely and comfortable if you're a young child to sit on your nana's lap. Yeah, that's the energy of Cancer, right? Like getting into a warm bath. So, this is about us recognizing who has jagged edges, who feels hard, who don't I feel a sense of relaxation and trust around. Because home is a feeling. We know when we're with kin, okay? Because the safer we get, the more our eccentricities come out, the more we might speak in gibberish or silly voices, the more we spontaneously express ourselves like we did between the age of 7 to 14. And that there's a joy in that which goes beyond words. So when you find people that you're in co-resonance with, you find your tribe, your clan, it's just joy. Now, another way of, identifying when you've found your clan, it's those that champion your growth in all areas. Okay. Just as, parents, we mark notches on the wall when our child gets higher, or, we celebrate their birthday with each journey around the sun each year. So those who truly are for you, okay, they will be cheering you on when you honor yourself, when you make good decisions, whether that's ending a toxic relationship or, you know, transcending a toxic habit, or, if you're doing something to express your gifts in the world, such as a launch or an exhibition, they'll be there to cheer you on, or a birthday. It's like it's important to them to come and celebrate you or your wedding. And if they can't make it, they'll make sure there's an alternative to make sure that that milestone isn't missed. So that gives you a kind of a gauge on how we're being initiated, what the lesson is right now. I do just want to flag that today I started a new project, and it is a podcast called Sisters of the Moon, and it's gathering wisdom keepers and change makers from around the world into a moon lodge, which will air as podcast episodes. And what sets it apart is this is a panel show. So rather than one-to-one interviews, we're celebrating community. We're celebrating, what happens when we come together and we cross-pollinate ideas and perspectives. So stay tuned for that. I will be recording the first episode this Friday. Again, very auspicious, Friday the 13th. And my guests are Rebecca Campbell and Colette Barron-Reed, and they're both incredible oracles, and we'll be discussing the role of oracle in these changing times, this global transition. So stay tuned for that. Um, and this is a strawberry moon. No, the moon won't look pink. It's not like the blood moon eclipse. This is a name that was coined from the Algonquin Native American tribe because this indicated it was time to harvest the strawberry season. But that's only for those in the northern hemisphere. If you're in the southern hemisphere, it's not autumnal harvest picking of strawberries. You're coming into winter solstice on the 21st. So we all share the one moon, regardless of the season that we're in. So yeah, only a strawberry moon if you're in the northern hemisphere. So I pulled a card today, and this is so sums up this full moon. So Sag is about, maintaining an optimistic view, not a cockeyed optimist who doesn't also take into account the shadow, having just journeyed through full moon in Scorpio, but it's believing things will get better, even if right now they're really challenging. I'm going to read this card and then tell you what I experienced. So I pulled, this is from Alana Fairchild's Kali deck. There we go, a skull on it. I see skulls everywhere I go, being a Scorpio, but anyway, good deaths. Um, it says, in unusually challenging situations, the way we've been supporting ourselves during ordinary times is insufficient. We need to be open to divine inspiration, protection, and proceeding in new ways. This is a portent of unexpected success. Even if everything appears to be going against you, the tide shall turn through divine grace. So this is saying don't get all down in the mouth and, throw a cosmic tanty if things aren't going according to plan. There is a reason. And yeah, today I went to record the first episode and it went tits up. Yeah, oh my God, I felt bullied in my own interview and I had to pull the pin. And even though the person that I was, one of the people I was interviewing, has a big name and was somebody that I thought was, wow, somebody to look up to and admire, their behavior did not engender any trust whatsoever. So, and just, I don't know, by chance, I'd happened to see, I can't remember the name of the actor, an English actor, doing a video clip yesterday saying, just because someone has credentials or they're famous or whatever, doesn't mean that they've earned your trust, and that, like anybody, it must be earned. So, yeah, treat everyone courteously, but also know that they need to treat you courteously. And if they don't, they're not worth your respect or trust. So I certainly had to learn that lesson. But the gift in it was, I'd started the interview without going through the guidelines of the red tent or the moon lodge, which I would always do when I facilitated an actual red tent or moon lodge, be it online or in person. And it just went to show me that even though this person, said that they'd facilitated red tents for decades or moon lodges, we had a very different perspective on what the Moon Lodge practice was about and the conduct that was appropriate within a Moon Lodge. So it was a celebration, really, for me to go, I'm a queen. I don't have to bow to anybody. And yeah, I can recognize when I need to set a boundary according to how I'm feeling in this person's relational field. But also the gift that Kali Ma gave me so that, you know, the rest of this series could go really well without a hitch because I had this hard initiation first up to say, right, don't forget the guidelines. The safety of the container is speaking those guidelines so everyone understands and you can manage expectations. So I got the gift in it as well. So that just gives you an example of, well, how I'm being initiated, but our lesson to, you know, turn a negative into a positive, or if you've got lemons, make lemonade. So, yeah, that's everything. I'm excited to share news about this podcast soon. I'm busy working away in the background. So, stay tuned for that. But yeah, be kind to your nervous system and, yeah, bless everything, even if it feels like a curse, and then it will show itself how it reveals the greater teaching. I'm still yet to discern what my blessing was. Yesterday, I drove into a double-decker bus. One blessing was there were about 50 people on board. Yes, it was embarrassing in the high street of Lewis, but none of them got whiplash, including me. So there was more than 50 blessings there. But yeah, we're living in intense times. We're all being initiated in intense ways. And this too shall pass. Thanks for watching. You've got my blessing to share this and have a wonderful full moon. Full moon in Sag is a great time for a party. So if you need to blow off some steam, this is the day to do it in 2 days.